we have huge ambitions for our youth in our country and for Kenya, and we believe technology and innovation is one of the big areas that will help us be able to transform the lives of the youth. And what we did in September last year is that we launched an SDG Accelerator Lab with the UN, with the Rockefeller Foundation, with SIGA, which is part of Berkeley University, so that we can be able to take innovations and accelerate those to be able to ensure we have got good development for our young people and for our country in terms of moving forward. As part of the SDG development agenda, we have Kenya's Big Four development agenda as well. So our visit was to meet the various different companies, the giant tech companies, the academia, and we had roundtables. We spoke with very many different and diverse companies. And what was great is that they all loved what we're doing. They want to support what we're doing. Some are already working on many things here in Kenya. And so they were very excited that we can now come together. And especially since we're bringing in the UN family and the Kenya government, we've been able to see some good progress and good results. So maybe Sid, you can add.
What we did responds to the UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres' vision of a UN which is fit for purpose and a UN which is delivering as one. And essentially what happened over the last 2 years since the UN reform started is how the whole UN system has come together to be in lockstep with the country's key development priorities as articulated by the president of this country, President Uhuru Kenyatta, with his Big Four development agenda. And we felt that we must harness the might of big data, of technology, of innovation, bring all that together, and this mission that we had, both in the Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C., actually showed that when we come together in SDG 17, which is about partnerships, how we could actually synchronize our efforts in terms of the vision that the president of this country has, and ultimately, how do we contribute towards this decade of action or the sustainable development goals that we must accomplish by 2030. I believe what we've started right now is a model of success for the future.
The SDGs and the Big Four agenda of President Uhuru Kenyatta are really geared to ensuring that the populations, the youth that we have, their lives are going to be transformed. Either they're going to have good health, they're going to have food security, they're going to have housing, and they're going to have jobs. So the Big Four agenda in Kenya is really about food security, it's about universal health care, it's about affordable housing, and manufacturing, where we're talking about value addition and ensuring that, as a country, we become industrialized and are able to provide the jobs that everybody needs so that they can decide their destiny for themselves.
In 2017, the Kenyan government and the United Nations family in Kenya at the UN General Assembly launched the Kenya UN SDG Partnership Platform, and this was to harness the private sector, the foundations, the philanthropies to come together in supporting Kenya's push to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. This was highly successful and has been classified as a global best practice. This platform has now expanded to over 17 companies. This public-private partnership platform has 3 aims. Number 1 is to support the vision of this country to achieve its development priorities. Number 2 is to drive in more foreign direct investments. Number 3 is to generate employment. 3 important priorities of this country. The president of this country, as the UN Secretary General, are global leaders of what is called a global initiative called the Generation Unlimited. We feel that for us, in order to make sure that those 1 million Kenyan youth who are joining the workforce every year are properly equipped with the right training, with the right knowledge, so that they are employable. What we are opening up in this partnership is ultimately to make sure that every young person in this country has dignity of a job, dignity of labor, and a hope and aspiration into the future. As I said before, and I repeatedly say it, Kenya can be the blueprint for Africa's future development.
From the trips that we've had both in Silicon Valley, Washington, D.C., and the various discussions we've had with many partners, it's very clear we have a lot of support and many that want to come and join and support the initiatives that we put together. And so what we've done is in the Accelerator Lab, we've organized ourselves into 8 working groups. These working groups will ensure that any company from, say, the Valley or from the local companies that we have will be able to partner, whether it's in research, whether it's in fintech, and especially even on the Big Four agenda, that they will be able to come together in the working group, be able to develop initiatives, projects, plans, and this way we can be able to harness the value from all of them. We've also said that from all this we want to develop a patent company. The innovations that will come out of this, we want to create a company that protects those innovations, and especially for the young people in Africa who today, whenever they come up with their ideas, they tend to sell them very fast and very early. We want to put this on the Nairobi Securities Exchange so that we can actually see the Silicon Savannah grow and expand. So this is an area that we're very pleased that the UN is supporting us with all the other development partners, the agencies, and the companies from overseas, especially in Silicon Valley, that have seen the opportunity to transform lives. And we've seen that even with academia, they are willing to come and provide us support in terms of research in the many different areas that are important for the country. So putting all this together, we expect that we're going to see results coming very, very fast.
I want to take this opportunity to really thank the Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed for actually providing an enabling environment for her resident coordinators to go out there and do things differently along with their respective country teams, working with the government. I also want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the US government, and in particular Ambassador Sherith Norman Shalit, the US Ambassador for UN Reforms in New York, as well as Ambassador Kyle McCarter, who's the US Ambassador here in Kenya, for actually having provided all the support, the platforms to enable this visit to take place. So sincerely, I believe that what we have started here between the United Nations family and the government of Kenya under the leadership of CS Mucheru, I think we would be able to achieve many goals and actually have real impact on the ground.